and welcome to Political Quickie, your political show that subjectively discusses political headlines in South Africa and all around the world. My name is Makhosi, and welcome to season 2. I'm so excited. I hope you are too. So, we shall swiftly go into season 2 with some positivity. It seems that government has established an ad hoc committee that will probe into the funding of political parties. Now, the major concern of this being that, some of the people who fund these political parties are sometimes anonymous. Political parties in South Africa are funded in two ways: by government itself and by private donors. If you recall, in season 1, we had this discussion about how, when private persons fund political parties or business, then it creates this psychological indebtedness. And then we get to a point where these private individuals have an influence in terms of how the business of government is conducted, and we do not want that, especially if it's not to our benefit. I think that, the track record of ad hoc committees is splendid. Just look at how that whole ad hoc committee on the SABC inquiry turned out. That was a splendid job. That was a job well done. And I have faith and I have, hope that this will turn out well. Especially because they are probing into this with the view of creating legislation that will sort of regulate that funding. I have a feeling, or this whole thing just makes me think that maybe, Parliament is low-key secretly watching political cricket. Anyways, moving right along. Yes, moving right along. It's Women's Month, so happy Women's Month. Although I personally, I wish we were at a point where men and women were equal. And we didn't have to have a Women's Month or a Women's Day in order to empower women. And I will get there. We will get there. We just need to not ask to be emancipated, not plead to be. We just have to do the things that will put us in a place where we have equal opportunities and it is level planed out. So in light of that, I just like to honor two women, Dr. Makhosi, Khoza, and the fallen journalist Sunette. Both these women have stood for justice. Regardless of what's happening, they have stood for justice and have stood by what they believe in. Dr. Makhosi Khoza, who has voiced that, that president must step down. Yeah, I almost said my president, but that president must step down. And she says that when she votes in the motion of no confidence, she will uphold the Constitution and the Constitution of the ANC. And so regardless of her getting death threats, apparently she gets a countdown to her death every single day. Regardless of that, she stood by what she believes in, saying that he should step down and, the right things must be done. So, Dr. Makhosi Khoza, you're amazing. And also the fallen Sunette, who was one of the SABC 8 journalists, who would not allow Hladi Motsoeneng to gag them. This lady is something else. She was sent death threats. She was kidnapped at some point and was tied to a tree in Melville Copies, and the grass around her was set to light. Her car brakes were meddled with. Her tires were slashed, and earlier this year, unfortunately, she passed away from what is known as the broken heart syndrome, which is actually, the official term is stress cardio or something, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. She was a phenomenal human being, and I honor you. I honor you. And, thank you to both these women who just stand for justice and will not be, tossed around regardless. So I am proud to be a South African because of you guys. Yeah. Moving on to our international story, however, it has a title. I know. It's titled a guy in 10 days. So the plot goes something like this. Sean Spicer, who was the press secretary of the White House, resigned because Donald Trump had a guy he didn't like, director of communications. His name is Anthony Scaramucci. Anthony Scaramucci. Nice name. Nice name. But yeah, so it turned out that Anthony Scaramucci is not such a good communicator. He verbally attacked in an interview chief strategist Steve Bannon and White House chief of staff at the time, Reince Priebus. He said things that I cannot repeat on the show, but they were very vague. Yes. So the plot thickened because Reince Priebus was sacked. But apparently he had some tension with Donald Trump. But I'm just like, really? This guy verbally attacks this one and then this other one gets fired? Really? And then it got a bit weird. Anthony Scaramucci's wife filed for divorce because apparently she dislikes Donald Trump. I don't know. And then it got incredibly weird when Anthony Scaramucci, after 10 days, how to lose a guy in 10 days? After 10 days of all that havoc cussing, he was then sacked himself. You know what? If there's one thing that I realize is that you attract what you are. So the people that are around you are likely similar to who you are. So Donald Trump, what kind of people do you have around you, my bro? I don't get it. I don't get it at all. But yeah, sometimes I wake up with the hope that, Donald Trump will somehow come to his senses. Because then he cheated and was like, no, actually, there's no chaos in the White House. He is not delusional. No, he's not delusional at all. But anyways, I love you guys and I hope that you enjoy season 2. Please continue to comment. I love it when you guys comment and you let me know what you're thinking, even though sometimes I don't agree. But yeah, let us discuss and let's use our talents to serve humanity. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. No, actually next week.